Hey there, welcome back, welcome to our channel. And just as a reminder to some of the new folks, we've been abroad 10 years and have never paid more than $300 or $400 for 3 and 4 bedroom houses and apartments, furnished and unfurnished. We also have over 1,000 videos just on Ecuador, and we also have lots of videos on everywhere we've traveled. In this video, we're going to take a little walk and reminisce on one of the main reasons why people go abroad, and one of the main reasons that is promoted by the RAMs, Retire Abroad media and magazines, as a carrot to entice people to go abroad, which was actually one of the reasons that we went abroad. So we're going to take a little walk there and reminisce. We're going to give you a little contemplative discussion in the hopes to give you some insight into these decisions. All right, let's get on with it. So I'm reflecting on the eternal spring idea that was so appealing. You gotta understand the eternal spring from my perspective is that whenever it was raining and it was spring, it was the exact time to go out and start digging the soil to do something like planting something, or getting the soil ready to plant something. And so the difference is that when it's raining a lot, the soil is soft, so it's easy because you're doing this by hand. You're not using any rototillers. I use the raised bed gardening method. No rototillers, no machinery, all very rustic but very incremental in that you just do it a little bit at a time over a period of a few months. So here it's been raining every single day. You'd literally have eternal spring, which was music to my ears when I heard the idea of eternal spring, being that I'd normally be doing something in the garden. Of course, here I'm in the apartment, so I'm doing no such thing. But it's not so cold that, I don't have a heater. There's a bit of a difference between being in a house. A lot of times being in an apartment seems to have more of an insulated thing where it doesn't feel as cold. I don't know if there are very many of you that were considering coming to a place like Ecuador from 2012, I think it was, when we made that first video called 10 Annoying Things About Cuenca, Ecuador, which incidentally, the reason that video was made was because there was so much promotion going on that we wanted to balance out what people were seeing, and that was the only purpose of it, was to balance things out. And so we made that video, and it was really, really chilly in the house. Cold. It was actually cold. And we had like hats on, we had flannel shirts on, we had a gas heater on, and we're not doing any of those things in the apartment. So there's a little bit of a difference. And now this is the summer here, which is it's March, and it is the rainy season, but it's been raining since December. So I'm just reminiscing about the reasons why we go abroad. Some of us go abroad, a lot of us go abroad for weather, and some of us like eternal summer, like in Panama, and others like eternal spring, in the Andes, throughout South America and even Mexico. So this isn't the only place where you can get eternal spring. When you go to tropical countries south of the border and you go up in elevation, you're going to have pretty close to eternal spring just about anywhere along the south of the border, whether it's Mexico, Central America, South America. I remember being in Mexico City, and it was like in the 60s, and it reminded me of the weather here, the temperatures in Cuenca, Ecuador. And that's Mexico City. Just to say though that it's just not really all that uncomfortable. And comparing it to my original thought before going abroad, being out in the garden, and it was actually spring, and I remember it very clearly because I had my spring rain jacket on. It was a very thin rain jacket, and I was doing some gardening, and it was on the 3.5 acres with a 40-foot pool and all that, and I just really, really enjoyed the gardening. And I remember thinking to myself,
wow, what would it be like to have this year-round? To be able to have this weather where I can come out here and eternal spring, it conjures up this image of that ideal. And I guess I'm having a little bit of a, it's not cabin fever because the apartment's quite comfortable. And you know, it's got 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, mostly furnished. It isn't, you know, cold in here, and it isn't hot. We've been getting about 2 days of sun every maybe week or 10 days of rain. And even when the sun shines, it's not terribly hot. It's warm, but it's not so hot that it becomes uncomfortable where you need to have air conditioning. And it just throws back my mind to those days when I was thinking how wonderful it would be to have eternal spring. So what do you think when you think eternal spring? Because a lot of people, you know, they come down here for, and that's one of the reasons, is for the eternal spring. In other words, avoiding the weather extremes, you know, like the 100-degree weather or the freezing, below freezing weather. And that's understandable. But yet, when I come here and when I sit here and I'm sitting here at my desk and I'm seeing the rain every day and I'm reminiscing about my gardening days and how wishing I had that year round, what does it bring to your thoughts? I know that a lot of people don't like rain, but from my perspective as a gardener, I loved rain because it enabled me to do things. And as I said, I did things incrementally because I did things in a simple way. And so using a shovel, you want the soil to be super soft so you can dig a certain increment and build up the raised bed. And then the next time it rains, you just go continue that exercise. And then each time it rains, and so you see that rain is actually a possibility thinker's tool that you say, oh great, it's raining, now you can go out and go do the garden. So, and then when it doesn't rain and it's dry, it's like, well, I can't do the garden because I'm not going to fight it, you know, you just take the easy route. And so through the years, spring weather and rain is to me positive and good and happy times because I love being outdoors and being out in nature. Anytime you can do things, you know, plant your garden and such, you're gonna reap the harvest at some point, and it's always a happy time. Which reminds me that the lifestyle that we had was, I call it homesteading. We didn't do 100% homesteading. We didn't grow 100% of our food, but we did grow about 80% of what we ate. And so we did our best to do that. Now I know that there's people that are growing 100% of what they eat, and which is pretty amazing to me, and I'd love to connect with people like that. And so I'm sitting here thinking about how I'm not doing any of those things, and I wonder how some of these other folks that come down here for the weather, how they feel about it, because I know I was watching some videos and the lady was asked about the wonderful spring weather, and she was kind of like, whatever. You know, it's raining every day. To some people, that's a negative. You know, you remember a lot of times you would ask people how you doing, and they're like, having a bad day. Why's that? It's raining. Really? So as I sit here and contemplate that I don't have to chop any firewood, and so I don't have to run the air conditioner, and the weather is, as long as it's not raining, we can go for a nice walk. Yeah, it's a trade-off. I mean, I don't have my gardening, and I don't really spend as much time outdoors as you would think, even though the weather is not really, extremes, other than quite a bit of rainy season. It's not downpours like in Panama. I mean, it's sprinkling a lot of the time, and you could be out in an umbrella if you wanted to. But it is a city, and so yeah, I do miss the country life. And I was going to say, it reminds me of when we ordered an extra phone line over there on our 3.5 acres in the States, and the guy from the phone company didn't show up for like 2 weeks, which was, I couldn't believe it. I I don't specifically recall thinking this, but it just makes me think that, well, you know, you heard of mañana time when you go abroad. Well, we have that here in the States. It took the guy 2 weeks to come out to install a phone line. What's the point of being in the States, right? And just go abroad and do that. But what I was getting at is that when he came out, based on what he said and his demeanor, I gathered that he was expecting us to blow our top or blow smoke out of our ears, or be angry because he hadn't shown up in 2 weeks. And he just kind of was really cautious, kept his distance, and then when he saw that we weren't saying anything and we were very calm, he's like, it must be the country life or something, you know. And I was thinking to myself, well, that's part of it. It's not the whole story, but that is part of it. So it just brings up the point to me that, you know, what we wish for sometimes, you know, a lot of people wish for the weather and they wish for the mañana time. And, you know, what we wish for, sometimes we get what we wish for, but not exactly the way that we had pictured it. So how is it panning out for you? How are things with you in your home or in your living abroad? Have you made it abroad yet? Are you still at home? Are you enjoying your life abroad? I hope I can inspire you to reflect on these things and realize that no matter what we do, we're never going to have perfection, and there's always going to be something that we can be thinking about that we wish we had, which comes down to realizing that being content is a really valuable thing to have. All right, thanks for watching my videos, and I hope I've inspired you to be content and have a wonderful day.